Ready? Are you ready? Okay. Welcome to Friday, February 16th is 10:47. And I'd like to call the Jobs Committee to order.
Bates. Oh,
She's here.
I know she's here. Doherty,
Are you?
Ford, Strathman,
Strathman here.
and I know Young's here. Yes,
Yeah, he's here.
Lewis
Lewis here.
and Allen.
Alan, present by Zoom. Thank you. Good morning.
Okay, we have two people that have requested remote, and that's Miss Allen and Mr. Doherty. Is that okay with everyone? Yep. Okay, good morning, thank you. Okay, and then I need a motion to approve the minutes for November 17th.
Madam Chair, I'd
Alan,
like to
please.
ask for unanimous consent to accept the meeting minutes from November 17th.
Okay. On favor?
Even
Thank you, Deborah. Gotcha. Okay, then moving right along. We first have to go into executive session because our favorite state's attorney is here this morning.
I'm for it. Let's go. Just leave your stuff. I'll come right back in.
Who stays?
Pardon?
You could always decide who gets to stay for executive session if you want to allow staff. to
Oh.
stay.
It's all right. It'll be a very short session.
We don't go too far.
Yeah, can I have the vote to go into executive session?
did someone move? I'll move it.
I'll
Alan,
second.
Forget to state the purpose.
Oh, going to executive session to review the minutes from closed session. Oh, we're working out. Okay. And if there's anybody else online besides Alan and Doherty, if you could identify yourself.
Roth is online through Zoom remotely.
We haven't gone into the closed session yet, so.
Thank you.
Voted and you're good.
Oh, yes.
Okay, everybody online, please accept your invites to go into the closed session.
I'm sorry, Blair, hold on one second. There was never a vote. That's a roll call vote, guys.
Right,
To go in?
yes.
Yeah,
I need a vote then to go
Sorry.
into executive session. No, you're good.
We had a motion and a second. Yeah.
Okay.
so
We had the motion and the second, which was,
and then a roll call.
Now the roll call.
But we didn't
Right.
do the roll call.
okay, good. Okay,
It looks like this. Here,
okay, and that's fine.
standing committees. admin.
What do we have? Okay, so now we are in closed session. We're not? We will be. Someday.
We need Mr. Doherty and Molina to accept the invite to the closed session.
For data, for leading up to creating the climate action.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, you are in open session.
It was good too.
Thank you.
I want to keep that document she provided as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Okay, clerk call the roll.
Bates,
Here,
Doherty,
there, and yes.
Ford,
Board President.
Strathman,
Strathman here.
Young.
Here.
Lewis,
Lewis here.
Allen.
Alan,
Then I need a motion and a second to approve the release of the minutes from 7/14 of 2023.
Strathman moves.
8 seconds.
Okay. Call the roll.
Bates,
It's yes.
Doherty. Ford, Strathman,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Allen.
Alan, I.
Okay. I do not see any public comments. Okay, none online, so, okay. We will move right along to the Office of Community Reinvestment, Workforce Development. Mr. Berger.
Good morning, Ms. Lewis.
Good morning.
We do not have, thank you. We do not have any business items before you today. We have included, however, our financial reports in your packet, and those are being shown right now.
All right, any questions? Okay, seeing none.
Thank you.
How's it going with getting the financials done?
Our finance division has been working in double time to get those reports done and submitted to our funder, the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. And so we tip our hats to them this morning.
Yes. All right, thank you very much. Anything else?
Thank you. No, that's it.
Okay, I noticed that, I saw that there's going to be several job fairs, one in Kendall County I saw, and also the one in DeKalb. So thank you for
Correct.
putting those out there. Yes, thank you.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any questions for Scott before he leaves us? Nope, I think you're clear. Okay. Job committee priorities.
Thank you. We're very excited to start off with our first item today. We have Ashley from RW Ventures. She's the managing director, and she's been one of our key partners in working on the strategic economic development plan. She's here today to update everyone on the committee about what's going on. We're planning on having this project done in the end of March. So with that, I will kick it off to Ashley.
Thank
Good
you,
morning.
Chris. Good morning, everyone. As Chris said, I'll be going over, this is an update of where the process is. Over the past several months, we've been doing a market analysis to assess Kane County's economy. And if we have time at the end, I would love input.
Yep.
All right, let me know if you can't hear me. So this is just a background slide, but the economy is in a moment of transition. There's on the left, it says creative destruction. That's basically just means businesses are being created and destroyed faster than ever before. So there's an exponential pace of change. And the middle diagram, I'll go into that on the next slide, but to be deliberate about growth, we look at these 5 market levers and look at their interactions and develop strategies for how the economy could grow. And that is important because in the past, economies sort of took care of themselves. Places that were falling behind economically attracted more workers and they'd catch up. But in this economy, that the opposite is true. Places that are growing, that have growing businesses and strong human capital just get farther and farther ahead economically, which means if places like Kane County aren't deliberate about where the economy is growing. Here's our vision. Here's how we're going to get there. It will be left behind. So that's kind of the goal of the project. Look into how to grow Kane County's economy, develop a vision for how to get there, and strategies. And those strategies align these, what we call 5 drivers of growth, or 5 market levers that you'll see in the bubbles: industry clusters, human capital or workforce, innovation and entrepreneurship, governance, which is really the civic and institutional infrastructure, and spatial efficiency, which ranges from built environment to transportation. So our market analysis has gone into detail into all of those, and I'll present key findings in a bit. This is just to give you a sense of where the project is. We have largely concluded the market analysis. We're starting to develop the mission and vision and strategies, which is where we'd love the committee's input today. And this has been done through a lot of interviews, analysis of a lot of data and research. And some of this is just an FYI, but the data, the findings I'll present are pretty high level on the next couple slides, but the data behind them is pretty extensive, and we've sliced it many different ways. So historically, Kane County has grown a bit haphazardly with it's a collar county in the Chicago metropolitan area, which means that sprawl has has crept into the county, and we've conducted a lot of interviews and asked businesses why they locate in Kane County, and the answers have resoundingly been land availability, lower taxes than Cook County especially. But we would like, as we think about a vision for Kane County's future, it would be, we haven't heard a business say, we're a manufacturer and we locate here because it's important to be near other manufacturers, and we're near our supply chains. But to build that kind of economy, we want to be deliberate about where we're going. So the 3, I guess we'll call them paths that Kane County has grown are as a bedroom community, as a farming economy, and an industrial economy. And moving forward, I just want to point out that we don't think those are in conflict. It's part of the beauty of Kane County is that it is all 3 of those things.
What's a bedroom community?
A place where people live, don't necessarily work in Kane County, but work outside of it and live here for the retail and amenities and
Got it. Thank you.
quality of life. And as we said, we want growth to be deliberate. So that's the point of this report. So this slide summarizes some of the assets and challenges according to those 5 market levers that I presented at the beginning. These are just some highlights. There's a lot more data and observations behind each of these, but within industry clusters, manufacturing generates some of the highest revenue for the county, particularly a high concentration of machine shops that are making custom parts for a wide variety of industries. There's the region as a whole, Chicagoland, has a strong concentration of food manufacturing and packaging. And within Kane County, there's a high concentration of employment. And then also a large business services sector, which ranges from things like back office payroll support for other businesses to landscaping and everything in between. So it's white collar and blue collar business services. And for human capital, there's a skilled workforce here, but we did want to note that you probably all know the racial disparities in educational attainment, notably for the Hispanic population. The community colleges here provide great upskilling opportunities, but we think, and there is some baseline industry involvement in helping to define what are the careers of the future and what are the career paths for how to get there. But we think there could be a lot greater industry involvement to shape these pathways. Oh, missed the last one. And innovation and entrepreneurship. There is an entrepreneurial mindset in people we've talked to and interviewed. A lot of Hispanic-owned small businesses, but there is a need for greater support for startups and for companies to scale as well. There is some support, but a lot more technical assistance and financial support. And in particular, there are some unique barriers faced by the Hispanic population in scaling their businesses. So this might be an opportunity to provide tailored support. Spatial efficiency, you all live here and know the county, so I can probably go through this the quickest, but a lot of companies said they locate here for land availability, but also distribution networks. And the fertile soil here is a huge asset to support agricultural growth. It's been that way for years. And at the bedroom community, there's good amenities and retail to support continued growth there. Some people did cite commuting challenges to reach jobs, and that could be anywhere from traffic to, if they are taking the train, some last mile transportation gaps to get to their job or training opportunity. And then in governance, there is an opportunity for the county to play a bigger role in improving intermunicipality collaboration. And as I said, for industry to be at the table and helping shape a lot of these initiatives. So key opportunities, these are listed according to those 3 pathways that the county could grow. The first, for industry growth, there's an opportunity to support metals and machinery growth. Connections within food manufacturing and packaging. There are a lot of firms, but I'll say that they don't necessarily talk to one another. It's not like something's being packaged here and then processed at the facility next door. And we think there's an opportunity to improve connections within that cluster. And then, as I've already said, greater resources for startups, particularly in the business services sector, and opportunity to tailor that support to BIPOC-owned companies, which BIPOC is Black, Indigenous, people of color. So for Kane County, the Hispanic population. For the agricultural growth, there's opportunity to explore higher growth agricultural opportunities in future studies, and then continued growth as a bedroom community. That part seems to be doing well. Continued growth in retail, and people move here for the quality of life and access to jobs and housing. And the last point about racial disparities, addressing racial disparities is important for the economy as a whole. Economies grow more longer term and more sustainably when there is less inequality. So next steps are developing that vision, a unified economic growth vision for the entire county, and then a set of strategies that will execute that vision. And Kane County has an opportunity to play a role in managing that growth, and developing an economic development organization is the recommended vehicle to do that. So these sides, the vision and strategies, are the ones where at this point in the project, we're presenting some considerations and some ideas. I love reactions in particular on these, anything in the presentation, but this in particular. So in thinking through the county's vision, I said it, we are at a moment of economic transition, and there's opportunity to build off a lot of industry strengths that are already here, such as metals, food manufacturing, business services, and agriculture. But there's also opportunity to improve entrepreneurial support for existing businesses that are here. I will say another part of the theory behind the work we do is, while business attraction is important, we find that business attraction often follows investing in your existing businesses and making this a great place for people to do business and to work, and then other businesses follow. And the other 2 pathways, as I mentioned, there's a huge opportunity to leverage historic farming assets to continue to be a farming economy and possibly move into higher value agriculture, and also strengthen the county's role as a bedroom community. And the last point, Kane County is a collar county, and it has this unique condition where urban and rural meet. And we've been looking for case studies across the country for how have other collar counties thought about managing growth when there's a lot of seemingly competing tensions with growing a rural economy, growing an urban economy. And we've found shockingly little guidance. So as the county thinks about its future, I think there's an opportunity to say we also are a leader in managing the many seemingly competing tensions, but they aren't really competing. Here's how we've created an aligned vision and strategy.
Yes.
Thank you. If I could just quickly ask, what is higher value agriculture?
Strictly looking at revenue. So a lot of the corn and soybean farms, they they bring in a decent amount of revenue, but things like vegetables or specialty crops do produce more. I know there's a lot of it's not easy to convert farms. So but
But that's what
But-
it is.
Yeah.
Or organic, like an organic farm,
yep, that as well.
or apple orchards, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, mostly fruits and vegetables. And then this next slide presents the strategy ideas. These are just ideas at this stage. So I especially want your reactions. Like, are we missing any opportunities or challenges that should be addressed? But number one is the Economic Development Organization. We feel that's important. And this is the right moment to create one to align growth across the county and continuously update a market analysis to create new strategies. The economy is always changing. The cluster-based strategy, any number of the industries that I mentioned that are growing, there's an opportunity to provide targeted support to continue growing that industry. For the regional collaborative innovation or workforce strategy, this especially is the one where having industry leaders at the table to help say, these are the skills that we need in the next 10 years, and here's how we could work with community colleges or other training organizations to train for these. There's opportunity to bring industry into that picture. BIPOC-focused entrepreneurship support, and we listed a few examples, but this ranges from startup support to scale-up support. And the region as a whole, outside of Kane County, does have a lot of support. So the strategy could range from just making better connections within the region to support that already exists, to creating some type of entity or technical assistance or mentorship hub at the county. And then finally, a finance authority. And this was in response, actually, when I said companies move here for land availability, that was one positive thing we heard. But another challenge we heard from talking to developers was just, yes, there's land availability, but it's very difficult to build because a lot of, I don't have to tell all of you, but the amount of investment needed to build on land that might not have roadways or utilities is it's not feasible. So that's where that idea came from. And next steps will be to launch an economic development organization to manage the county's vision and growth, and alongside that, develop a first set of programs and initiatives, and then continuously redo the market analysis to say what's the next right set of programs and initiatives to continue the county's growth towards this vision. And that will likely involve several additional studies, some of which I listed. And that concludes the presentation and the overview of where we are. So I think I'll open it up for discussion now. Any reactions are welcome, particularly on strategies.
Okay, let's start with Mr. Young.
Thank you, David Young. I am I'm a sales rep, and what I sell are, I'm going to say, components used for industry. And the biggest industry in the Chicago market is definitely the packaging industry. And so you got that right for sure. A lot of machine shops here for sure. There's automation, but the thing that I keep going back to as a sales rep that has lived here and been invested into Illinois definitely since early 90s, is that you have manufacturers moving out of the state of Illinois. Madam Chair had her company is no longer here. Caterpillar continues to move out of the state of Illinois. That obviously Aurora, they had, and I don't even know about the plant in Joliet. I'm sure that's closed, but all the plants in Illinois continue to move out. Me personally, I've had several companies move out of the state of Illinois that I was serving, and they just went elsewhere. So one of the challenges that I think that is not being looked at is the state of Illinois. And the state of Illinois, you're losing population. We lost so much population that we had to release a congressional seat. So, you know, you say these are facts, and I'm not I'm not kicking Illinois right now. I'm invested in Illinois. I've been invested here all my life. But what is the state of Illinois doing to help? So King County is definitely a nugget. It's a little golden nugget. And, you know, I keep on going back is that that's not discussed. That's the big, in my opinion, that's the big 800-pound gorilla that we need to figure out, because we need to entice other people to move in and also to expand their facilities here to create job growth. So I know I just said a lot, but it kind of goes back to Illinois, and I'd like for you to comment on that.
Thank you. So I mentioned that we see the county's role as collaborating more with the municipalities, which is true, but I should have mentioned also with the state level, you're right that an initiative won't work if it's divorced from the not just the state, but the regional economy as well. So we'll look into opportunities to do that as this economic development organization is created. How can better partnerships and collaboration happen with the state? I can't answer, what I don't know what the state is going to do about manufacturing or some of the initiatives there, but I think the opportunity we've seen is, especially with how big federal investment is in manufacturing right now and reshoring opportunities, I think this region, the state and this region would be missing out on a big opportunity. And this speaks to strategy development. I don't know what the manufacturing strategy will be, but I think there's enough opportunity for growth in manufacturing as a whole that we should develop something. But I think you pointed out challenges that, yes, should be addressed. Otherwise, it won't work. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to that a quick second. We have quite a few organizations that are really working in the manufacturing sector. We have IMAC, which is the Illinois Manufacturing
Excellence Center.
And what they've been doing is they have a huge grant, and they've been going and working with individual manufacturing facilities to help them overcome problems. It could be, increasing productivity. It could be problems that they have with training, a whole number of things, and they've had actually very good results. And I was reading a study from them this morning, and I'm probably going to ask them to come and tell us what they're doing. And we have Valley Industrial, which is our local one that tries to partner all the groups together. And at the state level, we do have the DECO.
Oh,
Yes,
CEO.
yes, who really is trying to make sure that some of those businesses are staying here, and they've had some success. And then, of course, with CEJA, our climate, action thing, we should really jump on that and start getting some companies in our area that actually are in that sector too. So I think it's definitely, it's been kind of gloom and doom. I mean, I felt it because I'm a manufacturer, that's my passion. But I do think that in order to stay in that realm, we've got to kind of rethink how we do manufacturing and make sure that we, move forward and do things better than other people and keep those businesses here. So, Madam Chair.
Thank you for saying all of that. And I think we're remiss in not mentioning the Greater Economic Development Council, the Collier County region, as long as with Chicago and World Business Chicago, which we are partnerships with, who are actively recruiting within the Collier counties for us. So I believe that there's one business that may be coming in to North Aurora that is a manufacturer as well, starting a brand new business in food manufacturing. So it's, as you know, it's a slow haul, but it's an uptick, not a downtick for here. I can't speak to all of Illinois, but here it looks very positive.
Mm-hmm. We grew.
Madam Bates.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, King County grew as opposed to the rest of Illinois. So I have a food manufacturing company in my district, and it's possibly the worst thing that's ever
Oh
happened
my God.
to that neighborhood.
Who keeps doing that?
Ken, is that you? Is that Ken Shepro?
No, I think it was Doherty, actually.
Oh,
but
okay.
Not sure.
So what are we doing to protect our neighborhoods from these food manufacturing companies? Because it's Factor, it's not a big secret. And the noise, the noise pollution, the light pollution, and the stink is ruining the lives of people in the neighborhood. So is this the right time? I don't, this is,
I'm going to field that one
okay.
because I don't think her presentation, I think you're a little out of scope for that. However.
I could ask and you could
Yes,
not answer.
However, that goes back to our need for the Economic Development Organization because the Economic Development Organization is the one that's going to kind of shape what we want King County to look like. Because many of the things we do, there are give and take. You know, do we want more factories? Yes. But with that comes more transportation issues. So what do we want to do about, you know, our roads? And where's our cutoffs going to be? We love warehouses because, you know, they bring money, but they mess up our roads and they're bad for, you know, our air pollution and things.
Quality of life.
Factor has been a great employer in Aurora. It's brought a lot of jobs there, but it also smells up the neighborhood, to put it your way.
And
So I
noise
think,
and-
yeah, so I think you just set the probably maybe the most critical thing for this economic development organization because they're going to decide what King County is going to look like.
Okay, and I have another question.
Okay, Madam Chair first, because I know she wants to piggyback on that.
Oh, I would agree with that. There are risks and opportunities for every business that gets developed here. By disturbing land, it's a risk, but it also presents a wealth of opportunities for job growth, industry development, technical development, certainly improvements. We see what's happening with the lithium mining in Arizona, even though we're all supportive electric vehicles. I mean, so there's a yin and yang to all development opportunities, and we have to be sensitive to what those are and realize that if we're going to grow as an economy and as a people, we have to manage those risks. But speaking of risks, and you kind of led this into the housing, and you certainly did. Kane County is a very unique county because we have the forest preserves that we dearly love. I think we all love it, whether you're politically oriented or not. We all support the forest preserves. We also, many of us, support our open land space. We certainly enjoy the farms. I've been touting this for a long time. I love driving out into the countryside, especially it's so close to where I live. It's magnificent. However, if we look at land development and we take up that precious farmland with housing, and we know we need new housing. Are we going to be controlling, and this may be somewhat controversial, so I don't want to open up a can of worms, but here we go. Are we going to control density of housing so that instead of having quarter-acre lots, half-acre lots, as usual for new traditional eighth-acre lots, are we going to ask for tighter, more compact housing, which will take up less land, obviously use less energy, is more environmentally effective, and have more open land space around it? I mean, I'm throwing that out. I don't have an answer to that. And is that something we want to do to protect some of the greatest farmland that's in the state of Illinois, and I'd say in the Midwest, from putting a house on it? So I put the elephant in the room, and the
Economic
donkeys there
Development
too.
Organization, they're going to figure it all out.
Yep.
Because I came back kind of full circle on that. Because one of the things we were saying was that we want to keep that bedroom community. Well, we don't have housing for people right now. We can't,
No bedrooms.
people that want to work in Kane County sometimes don't because they can't find housing in Kane County. So they have to go to DeKalb or Sycamore or Morris, or I don't know, all those outside areas instead of staying here. So it's obviously another consideration.
Yeah, thank you. And that risk or tension is picked up in our plan. There's not an answer yet, or may not be, but but density is one of the options. But then alongside that, there's a lot of anti-density sentiments. So not an easy-
Anti what?
Anti-density.
Density?
That like just density of housing. People might not want multi-story
Density.
housing in their communities.
Madam Chair Ford.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing with the housing, things have changed. And I think Madam Chair has a good point about the housing, but it seems like the one thing we got to recognize is that the upcoming generations are going to determine the request of the housing, and we need to figure out what that is. Their philosophy on living quarters is different from 20, 30, 40 years ago. So that's going to make that determination. The other thing is that I think this is great, the way it's laid out and all the different scenarios of it. It'd be a good idea to me to find out what some of our cities are thinking, you know, what their plans are. And also, I think the technology component has to be added to this somewhere. What are we looking for? If we're trying to meet the future, to me, the goal should be trying to get ahead of the future also. Don't wait till something happens, try to catch up. That's one of the problems that Illinois has, is that we're always trying to catch up when other states are stepping out a little bit past outside the box. And even if we do that, we need to figure out where those steps should be at. Because it's one thing to have the workforce that we have, but it's also what workforce do we want to create?
Yes.
And we create that by going after those businesses who are tied into that future thought. I think Mr. Young one time was talking about, he always asks a question about solar panels and where they're made at, where they come from and what they're made out of. How come we're not looking at, and this is just a thought, like before, just throwing something out there. How come we're not looking at having solar panels made here in King County? So just thoughts like that with the technology part of it.
Go ahead. Only if you have an answer to all of these questions.
Wait,
No,
I did have one more
well,
question.
No, I'll give
Partial answer.
Okay.
Well, one, I do want to point out that the funding for this whole strategic plan that's funding our consultant, RW Ventures, is from the state of Illinois, $150,000 that they're paying for us to be able to do this plan. So I
Okay.
do want to point that out. The other is this is an economic development strategy, and really what the Economic Development Council organization brings that the county doesn't already have to our health planning, our transportation planning, our land use planning is an economic development strategy that anticipates the future and gets our communities working together. The land use decisions will still be in the hands of our municipalities and use the county board for the unincorporated area. In the area of housing, which is an important, sister component, on next Tuesday on the Development Committee agenda is a resolution for a memorandum of understanding for the county to work with CMAP, who's our regional planning agency, to develop a housing-ready plan for Kane County and our 29 municipalities. So, it's not like, any one of these plans comprehensively takes care of all the issues that need to be worked together. But we're moving ahead on a number of fronts for those to be developed and work on, recognizing that housing and economy are kind of go hand in hand, but they're different aspects of what municipalities might do. What Ashley's telling us with not only the economic data that they've mined, but the interviews that they've done, is really for the first time we're hearing more comprehensively from businesses and business leaders on what they see, what they're experiencing, what they see, and that's going to help continue to shape, those greater policy decisions on land use and housing and whatnot. So, anyway, I just want to interject that, and thank you.
Mrs. Bates,
Yay,
she's been
I
waiting
like
lost. So,
so I wanted to say something that is sort of like what Madam Chair said about urban sprawl. You talked about housing. I'm going to talk about industry. Let's make sure industry, whenever we can, goes into the inner city. Aurora still has a few old factories that are kind of in ruin. Let's put our factories, get industry to go into that inner city Black Rust Belt instead of using new farmland to prevent urban sprawl caused by industry. And I was wondering, in the beginning, at least of your talk, you talked a lot about Hispanics and not about Blacks. But then you sort of changed from Hispanics to BIPOC. So maybe BIPOC would be a better
Yeah.
word.
Yes, we can use that throughout the plan. The Hispanic population is just the greatest percentage of the BIPOC population.
People of color.
Go ahead, Madam Chair.
Huh? The word?
All right, so thank you, Madam. Oh, sorry, you just pointed. I didn't know.
Wait, your turn.
You got-
Oh, I know. Okay, here.
It turns.
Work that finger.
This
There you
this
go.
side, we got this.
Lady
We're
first,
going like this.
you know, beauty before
Got lots
you,
to say.
or whatever. you know.
See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
Three of us.
Oh,
What am I? Do
is
no
that it?
evil?
The three monkeys here. So I would like to talk about the 40%, which is minority, primarily Hispanic. The data that I have seen, and nothing, please, African Americans are fabulous. I mean, they're
Louder, please. You're
I've got no, I just want to talk about Hispanic population right now. They're a new population for Kane County, relatively new. Although they've been here for a long period of time. They're economic drivers because so many of them are entrepreneurs. They like to start businesses. Matter of fact, the data that I have read, the Hispanic population starts more small businesses here in Kane County than any other consortium of a group. They may have a tendency to fail because failure in small businesses is part of the game plan. You fail, you learn, you start up again, you fail, you learn, you start up again. So that's being an entrepreneur, being able to take those risks. But with those risks bring job growth opportunity. You're a small business developer. I was a small business developer. Many of us had that opportunity to develop growth and opportunity, and some of us failed, some of us grew. It's just a matter of what happens. But we want to make sure that we encourage this population, and any population, to be able to have the capacity to be able to take that risk, to be able to be the next entrepreneur that builds success, that doesn't fail with their success and continues that growth, no matter what industry it may be in, because that is really going to be impactful for the future and development of Kane County.
Yep, I agree with that point. And I will say that we've also, as we've been doing this plan, we've also been taking note of what organizations are already doing great work on the ground. And so in part of strategy development, it could be creating a new strategy or a new entrepreneurship center, or it could be investing in an organization that's already working really well with the Hispanic population to do that. So I'm not sure, but thank you.
Okay, we have Ford and then Young.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Two things. One, I understand about the data you're talking about coming from business owners, but I think at some point we got to make sure we listen to, although we might not like the way they put things or say things, is the generations that are coming up. We got to find out what they're thinking and what their plans are, what plans that could change. But I've seen this activity before. I used to work in the mayor's office for the city of Aurora. Too much inside thinking and inside input and not enough outside input.
Right.
And that's very important. The second part is in Aurora, there is a large number of Hispanics, and I like to think and know that I work well with a lot of them, have a lot of close relationships with a lot of them. But here's what I had the pleasure. I serve in the African American Chamber of Commerce, right? We try to touch all 4 counties. And Thursday before last, I was in Chicago downtown, and I was invited out of the blue to this event to sit around a table with a large number, and they kept walking through. It's like an open, like a more networking type of thing with all dominant top African-American businesses. And I constantly was talking about them reaching out west. And the problem is with that, it because of they see statements like we're making right here now about focus on what it looks like we're focused on just the Hispanic community. They pass up Aurora and Kane County for that particular reason. And one guy that I was talking to, I was totally shocked. He has a paving business and he's in West Chicago, but he doesn't come this way. I'm like, you right here. And this is what he explained to me. So we have to be careful with how we make these statements. And that's also the same thing in the Indian community, where a lot of them, they do have the funding. And these male and females that I met with a couple of Thursdays ago, finance is not their issue. That is not the issue. They're very, very well off. But the thing about it is we just have to be careful because we don't understand that we're also having people look the other way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
What is the issue?
Is that too many times when they see stuff or read stuff, it looks like it's just too much of, it's a strong focus just on the Hispanic community.
Same thing I said.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Young.
David Young, and to point, I'm going to kind of piggyback on what Ron Ford said, but I'd like to see going forward, and this is actually part of the jobs. I'm pointing to my standing committee, our statement about the jobs. I'd like to see the top employers in our area. Let's say it's Smithfield Foods up the street, for example. What are we doing as a local government, asking them what their needs are? What can we do to help them make sure that they know that we're there and that we want to keep them here? And so I'd like to see an emphasis on some of the top employers in the area, in the manufacturing facility sector, as well as in the packaging industry, because once you make them happy and they expand with you, they will go ahead and attract other companies that are just like them. And I saw this happen in Peoria when I grew up in Peoria. It was Caterpillar. And then, who's that other major competitor of Caterpillar? No. It was out of Japan. Anyway, they ended up moving to Peoria because Caterpillar had their headquarters there. No. I'll think of it at the end when I'm walking out the door. I'll think of it. But it was, they had that very, Peoria in the 80s was such a great place to grow up. It was expanding, booming.
Yeah.
Caterpillar was there, and then they had this competitor come in from Japan to, since Caterpillar was there. But you start helping, I'm going to pick Smithfield Foods. You start helping them succeed and expand. Then you know what? There's going to be, maybe Tyson comes in and says, "Hey, you know what? It's so strong in St. Charles, whatever." So okay.
Yeah, they did.
Roth here real quick. David, it's Komatsu.
Yes, thank you. Because Bill's from Peoria.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
So,
Aren't you on that airplane yet?
I'd like to see how we could make sure that and then the other goes back to the job statement, where we want to make sure that we are promoting the creation of more jobs that pay higher wages, especially in the private community, and that we also highlight sparklers. I know that Madam Chair really loves that, which are employers or individuals and groups that provide especially good examples for Kane County. A sparkler, in this case, is an individual or a company. But I want to see if we could highlight that going forward in each one of our meetings to say that, we are focusing on the current employers. They are expanding and get some good news out here as well, that we need to have that too. Thank you.
Great idea. Thank you. You have anything? Oh, okay. All right. So are we all gonna get a copy of this?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Yes, absolutely. And if there's any feedback, feel free to send that on to Chris or myself.
And is there a thick report like that was generated? And these are
Yeah,
just the highlights?
that's in draft stage
Yeah.
right now, the report. And that'll be coming out in March.
Okay.
But this is a early preview of some of the key findings and particularly some of the strategy ideas. If you resonate with those, if you have any questions on those, this is the opportunity for you as a committee to shape those as they continue their work.
I think this is excellent work. Thank you so much. And I'll get to you in a second. And I think it's certainly, as I was sitting here reading this, I was generating more questions in my mind about different things as with panel, as you can tell. So I think this is a really good starting point. And I think it's just tremendous the amount of opportunities we have everywhere
Yes.
and obstacles, and for certain.
Yes, but I appreciate all the additional obstacles and opportunities that have been brought up. And as Mark said, please, when this is distributed, we'd love if you have suggestions for other people we should interview. We interviewed a lot, but we want more voices. We want to make sure this works for Kane County, and additional risks, opportunities we missed, please. let us know.
One of the sectors that we have to develop are small businesses is daycare. Mr. Ford and I are always talking about daycare. We have so many people in Aurora that just can't find affordable daycare. And especially, and that's also in our BIPOC community that's holding back a lot of people. So
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right, this is brilliant and wonderful. What are our next steps? What are we going to be doing for Kane County? Are we going to go to resolution to support this when it's ready for that? Are we going to be looking at next year's budget to put together a funding package for this? Because the Economic Development Council is going to be coming with an ask for resources. Maybe with the ARPA committee, I don't know how that stands. Are we going to be investing some of the revenue recoupment dollars on this? But we need to, as in any startup, we need to have, I was told, what you need about a year to 2 years financing behind you for your personal needs, so you can put all your profit into your business to grow it. So how are we going to develop this? And this will kill it if we don't have the resources behind it.
Right. So I'm going to turn this to Mark because I know he's got the plan, but I believe that we looked at this today and then we'll get the whole report next month. And then I believe very soon after that, we're going to have to come up with a resolution.
Oh my God. No. Right.
I know it.
Has he got memes going like this?
Wow. We're going to have to come up with a resolution to actually move forward with implementing a formal economic development organization. And I believe there's some funding that's already kind of earmarked towards that. Right? Come on, tell me I'm right. I can't, don't leave me hanging here, buddy.
Yes, no, I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if this was the time to answer the question.
It is.
So yes, as part of our 5 projects that we had put forth from our department for use of ARPA funds, one of them is the Economic Development Strategic Plan and launching an EDO, and using as much ARPA dollars under eligible activities, potentially ARPA dollars under revenue recoupment for those that aren't, because general economic development activities are not eligible in part of the bucket. So, we're certainly looking for that. We're also working with RW Ventures, based on, the strategies, what is a reasonable budget for a startup. We're also getting a lot of great input from John Grueling, who's with us this morning as well, our economic development consultant and former leader for the Will County EDO that he led for many, many years. So we're going to have some good realistic budget numbers, to move ahead. But coming up with that launch funding package, and then how that organization moves from a seed money from the county to support from those private sector companies that will be investors and members over a 2-3 year period is part of that transition.
So what's the time frame you see for that?
So we're working on drafts of that budget now and working with the ARPA committee to see, how much funds are available through the revenue recoupment. Working with EY and the ARPA committee in terms of what things might be fundable activities for the new EDO to do. Some of these strategies and potential initial projects for the EDO to do could be fundable under ARPA. So that is kind of putting that package together. So the next step really is the final report and recommendations, because those become the basis for deciding which items are fundable under ARPA or which are under revenue recoupment or our other pot of money, that is set aside for economic development is our Grand Victoria Riverboat Fund as well. So we have those three potentially other, pots to look out of.
So without putting you on the spot and without me writing this down, are we looking at like seeing something in like May?
Oh, yeah, well before May.
Oh, I'm writing it down.
I know, I did too, but Okay, Ms. Bates.
So there's a little spot right there at the bottom of the page for another box. And I'd like that box to say sustainability. I think that in every one of these boxes, to keep the quality of life at what we love here in Kane County, that sustainability. I see the word sustainability sneaks in here a couple of times, but I think that should be one of our major strategies. And it'll help make everything else work better. Just like you said, reducing discrimination or makes everything work better. Sustainability makes everything work better. People, planet, and profits, they're all going to work together. So I'd like to see a sustainability box.
Thank you. We assessed like the clean economy, what we're calling all green industry.
Pretty good.
But it's woven through, it will be woven throughout all of the.
Okay, but can we have another box there that says, I mean, woven through gets lost.
Actually, I can agree with you. I really
Woven
do.
through gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
And would you like that box to be green and we change finance? to
Oh, yeah.
Yellow.
Thank you.
You know, I'm not an imposter. This is really Mavis, so.
Mr. Ford.
Doing my job.
Thank you,
I'm
Madam
doing my
Chair.
job
Just
here.
a thought. It's been mentioned a few times about resources when you come down to bringing businesses in and sustaining businesses and helping the community grow. And I know we heard from existing business. It may be a good idea to take a look at what it took to bring in what I believe is, I've been told is one of the biggest tax base we have in King County, and that's the outlet mall.
Oh.
And so we need to be aware of what those packages look like. A lot of people not familiar on the board because they don't come from the atmosphere. Also, and there's a lot of heat from public doing these packages. And also, it may be worthwhile, although it's a whole different thing, but it's still the same concept, is a location of the casino from downtown Aurora out to the northeast side of Aurora.
See, now you're talking TIF districts here. We can't go there this morning.
But what I'm-
Until 5 o'clock on that one.
But what I'm saying is, we are all excited about this, all across the board. I don't think there's one of our colleagues are not interested in this, but it opens up another door, and we need to understand now what that door looks like
Right.
when we walk through it. That's, I guess, what I'm saying.
Right, which is why we have to have an economic development organization. Okay. Are we good with this for right now? I mean, we could be talking about this until 8 o'clock tonight. We could adjourn and go somewhere else to discuss it, but we can't.
I would happily do.
So, but thank you so much. I mean, this actually
This is
opened up
exciting.
more questions than answers, which is what it was supposed to do. So thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you so much.
As long as there's a sixth box,
I'm sorry, Gary, what did you say?
as long as there's a sixth colored box.
Okay.
We got 5 now. We got to have 6 colors.
Yep. Yeah.
Chairman Lewis, this is Alan.
Yes, Miss Allen.
Can I toss something else in here? We
Wait,
will
I didn't say
note-
yes. Oh, you're the co-chair. Go ahead.
All right. One of the things that we will be dealing with in the very near future is the internal grant part of the Riverboat Casino money that we receive every year. And I would just like to direct our attention that of about half of the money that we hold back for ourselves, that we don't put into the grants that come from the grant requests that come from the community. We hold back money to support our own internal projects. And about half of that money goes into departments and offices that I think should be supported elsewhere. Let me give you an example. About half of the money goes into the state's attorney's office, and about half of that money goes into the Children's Advocacy Center. Now, if we believe that the Children's Advocacy Center is something that we should support, and I do, then that should come out of our general budget. It should not depend on manna from heaven money coming from the casino. And if we were to change that so that the Children's Advocacy Center was part of the regular budget of the state's attorney's office, then that would free up about $1 million of riverboat money this year that could be used for economic development, education, and environmental issues. But economic development has always gotten the short end of that stick. And part of the reason is because we have, in my opinion, we have misused the money that comes from the casino that could go into economic development. So I just want to toss that out there, get it into the ether so that we're thinking about it, because we talk about it twice a year with the external grants and the internal grants. And if we were to think about it a little more holistically, then we would have an additional resource for these projects that we want to go forward with. Thanks for letting me vent.
Thank you. Who's the chair of that committee? Chris. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Caius, and it's a well-rounded group of committee members from around the county.
Right. Very good. Thank you. All right. I guess we will be moving on to.
Thank you. Just 2 updates for today's staff updates of Kane County Economic Development Initiatives. Per request, I did put together a little slide deck of the unemployment numbers of the last 6 months. For those of you who may remember, this was something I was doing monthly from about 2020 till about 2022. I used to give an update every month just so we had an update on the unemployment data for the county, and I like to compare it to the state and the national averages. These numbers are as accurate as it's possible given Wednesday. And then I'll get into it a little bit later, but these are not seasonally adjusted numbers. So if, there's always different unemployment numbers thrown around, and I try to use as numbers that are not fudged with as much as possible is the best way to say it. So going back, so at December, we're about 5.2%. So we're still about a percentage hole over the average nationally. Illinois has been relatively steady the last few months, and the US average was dipped pretty low, but it's spiked up. So this is what it looks like chart wise. So this is Kane County. So, everything was starting to sink down towards November, and then we had a spike in December. Given the data that I've seen, I predict we probably will go up a little bit more in January. And as soon as we have those numbers, I can report those next month. Interesting enough, Illinois had the same tendencies, but then it remained flat in December. I don't have an explanation for that, but it is interesting because when you look at the United States unemployment overall, it kind of followed the same trend line where it was up in August, slowly went down towards December, and then just spiked up again. There's a lot of layoffs in the news right now in January that we were reading about, especially in the tech sector. That was kind of the big thing, especially out west. They were just laying off tech, so maybe that has something to do with it, but I don't really have an explanation for that at this time. Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, then just the major tech companies just laid off. I mean, they were laying off 8-9% of their workforce at some of them. So just how is it measured? I put this in there because I was a little interested myself, but the Bureau of Labor Statistics measures through a current population survey. So every month they survey about 60,000 homes. And they select these homes using random sampling methods designed to generate as close an approximation as possible to the larger population. So it's kind of like the Nielsen ratings that they use for TV, where it's just a small subsample that's just aggregated out to maybe represent a bigger picture. And for the unemployment that we use today, only residents who are in the labor force are counted in the unemployment rate. Those who are who have given up looking for a job or not, that's kind of where the controversy lies. And that's why critics argue that not counting workers who have given up looking paints a brighter picture of unemployment than it really exists. So that leaves me, there's actually two different unemployment rates. The unemployment rates that I gave you today were under the U3 rate, which is the most commonly reported rate of unemployment in the US. It's the number of people who are actively seeking employment even though they are jobless. But the critics always maintain that it doesn't include part-time workers who want full-time work or anyone who has given up looking for a job. So that brings us to the U6 rate, which is the rate that includes the discouraged, the underemployed, and the unemployed. Because it includes a wider swath of the population, it's typically higher. And this is, you could argue, is probably closer to the true unemployment rate. So this is the U6 of the United States unemployment rate. So it's the total unemployed plus all persons marginally attached to the labor force, so underemployed, and plus the total employed for part-time for economic reasons. So they can't there's not full-time work, they have other obligations, they may be students, but this includes them as well. So if we were to use this marginally attached to labor force rate of U6, our unemployment for the country would be closer to 8%. So I'm gonna always stick to the non-seasonally adjusted U3 numbers because that's more consistent with what most people read in the newspaper. But just so whenever there's confusion about numbers, there's just a comparable between the U3 and the U6. And then just I slapped this on here just so it's on the website so everyone can go visit my sources. I like to use St. Louis Fed because they're the most consistent. They also bring out the numbers the quickest and they also adjust them quicker. But with that, I will step back and leave it to any questions.
Ms. Banks?
I think on the radio, they're usually using seasonally adjusted. Don't they always say that? These numbers are seasonally adjusted for elves at Christmas or?
Yeah, the seasonal adjusted numbers is just another way to kind of bring it down a little bit.
Oh, they just. It's a little fudging.
Yes, there's so many different ways. That's
massaging.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, that's exactly what it is. And that's why I just want to kind of lay out some different pathways to getting these numbers because there's so many different ways. And I just wanted to kind of let everyone find the number that works for them based upon the data that we have.
Okay, broad data, maybe that's the best.
Hi, we've got great high schools here in Kane County. I mean, our schools in Kane County are primarily just outstanding. And we've got significant both community colleges as well as universities adjacent to us and residents of Kane. Can we track after the high school students graduate and go on to either the career path, stay locally, going to a community college, getting some other kind of training, or those individuals who go on to a four-year school? How many come back? I asked that data when I was on the school board, what kind of district tracking they had. And as soon as you graduated from high school, you're gone. You're out of the system. But I think would be, Mr. Ford keeps on talking about, we have to ask our next generation, how do we manage that so that we bring them back or at least make sure that there's opportunities, desirability for that generation to come back here, to stay here?
That's a great question. Typically in the past, the alumni associations or have the community colleges or the universities themselves have worked hard to track that information because it's a hard piece of information to capture at a macro level. So at a micro, the colleges and universities track their alumni so that they can have that information to share for their specific university. But I can look into other ways that may find that data, because that is really good telling of the vibrancy of your economy, is how often do your children stay in the community once they've graduated, or do they come back? So yeah, I can look into that, but I'm not sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Any other questions? And then I'm really excited to share this because this point was kind of brought up earlier, but coming out next week, we'll be starting marketing for one of our ARPA programs, the IMEC Lighthouse Manufacturing Program, and our Finding New Talent Pools for Manufacturing and Workforce Success Program. So these are the two programs we are partnering with IMEC through with our ARPA funds. The Lighthouse program is similar to what they've done already in McHenry and Cook counties, where they will be assisting a select group of manufacturers in King County who apply for innovative and customized projects to help grow their manufacturers. The other program is something wholly unique to anything that's being done with these ARPA funds, and especially with respect to manufacturing. And this Finding New Talent Pools program is basically the program to close gaps, expand pipelines, and guide peer-to-peer solutions for manufacturers to find new employees. We've had speakers come, I think in November of 2022, we had the Parents Alliance for Employment Project come and speak about how they were place autistic workers into manufacturing, which was a really successful program. If you're on LinkedIn, you can see how they're highlighting their new workers all the time, their anniversaries. It's a wonderful thing to follow. And seeing the success from that, working with the DEI officer at IMEC and their administrative staff to put on more programs to help bring manufacturers together to work not just with our program, but with each other in creating these pipelines that they can all utilize to get employees in underserved or employees who have challenges to come in and be successful working in their manufacturing. So we will be I'll have more information at next month's Jobs Committee once we have the marketing highlighted, but this is something really excited. We've been working on this since the ARPA projects came out, and we're really, really excited to have the boots running on the ground. But more importantly, it just continues to address a need of our local manufacturers for their workers, and it also helps keep our populations who need employment working. So it's something really unique, and we're really excited for that. So the marketing will start probably next week, and then we'll start opening up applications and have more information.
So we'll have more on that next month? Awesome.
Yeah, in fact, you'll want to specifically look for the launch press release on Tuesday. It's going to come out. So that's why I wanted to give you, we can't preview anything because it's embargoed, but look for that on Tuesday. We're working with Julie Mann with Kane County Connects to get out on that. And then also, because of the timeframe for the use of the ARPA funds in this project, we're really going to be asking county board members, the small manufacturers in your district, to help get the word out and let them know this is something to take advantage of. And I also want to, go ahead. Do you have a question?
Oh, I just love the way you guys get so excited and tickled pink over your stuff and giggly.
Well, we are real excited. And I
I know,
especially
I
do
like
want to thank our ARPA team, our state's attorney's office, Chris particularly, for getting
Mhm.
the agreements across the finish line. We had great input from John Grueling, our economic development advisor. So this is really, as Chris said, unique. This is similar to what IMEC is doing in the other counties with ARPA funds, but it is taking advantage of what they've learned from those experiences to make this a really unique and good program. The other thing I wanted to mention this morning, you probably noticed a couple of new bright faces to my left. These are two new members of our planning division team. Catherine McKenna, closest to me, is our new planner and GIS specialist. When Tim Mesher retired back in 2023, we've been kind of patching together with Matt Tansley and other GIS resources for some of the excellent mapping needs that we need. So Catherine is on board to do that, as well as she's going to be working with Chris and I on the Housing Ready plan with CMAP and other special projects. And then to her left is Sarah E. Castro, who's joining us as our new Farmland Preservation Administrator. She
Exciting,
comes with
yeah.
direct experience with, isn't that the USDA? What's the branch of it?
Conservation Service.
Yes.
Say that again?
Yeah, say it closer to the microphone.
Sorry, the Natural Resource Conservation Service.
Okay.
Thank you. So we're very excited that we were able to attract somebody with direct experience working with federal programs to work with our federal programs. But not only that, she has a great love for agriculture and is excited to join us and relocated to Kane County to be on our team. So welcome to
Hey,
both of them.
welcome, both of you. Yeah.
So what made you want to come to Kane County, both of you, and work for us? Because we always talk about, and there's a reason I ask, because we always talk about people leaving Kane County, and I want to know why you guys came.
I grew up in DuPage County in Naperville, so, and most of my family lives in the Chicagoland area, and I really enjoy this area. So, yeah.
Welcome home.
For me, I was in Iowa before this, and then I wanted to be a lot closer to, kind of answering your question, how do we come back? I wanted to be closer with family.
Okay, good, good. Well, welcome both of you. Thank you. If you're half as good as those two guys.
Yeah.
I hope so.
All right, I have no comments. This has been an excellent meeting.
This has been a
And
very excellent.
We need a motion to place the reports on file.
Nate's moves.
Bethman seconds.
Okay, unanimous consent?
Unanimous consent. Make it so.
Okay. No objections? It's done.
Motion to adjourn.
No public
Yes.
comments? Motion to adjourn?
Make it so.
Okay, I think that was motioned by Bates and seconded by Strathman.
Thank you,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Have an excellent weekend, everybody.